So I am joined by the wonderful Kelly Lumberg, who, as some of you may not know, was one of our very, very first clients when Creative Zone started back in 2010. It is amazing to have her here with me today. She has an incredible story to tell you guys, and luckily we have managed to stay a part of that journey through the entirety. So thank you very much for being here. It's such a pleasure to have you.
It's great to be able to share the story. And I think, when people think about business and starting in business, that it's more recent, but there's actually people who have been around a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really nice it'll be really nice today to share a little bit of that journey and what it was like all those years ago and where we are now with it all.
I mean, you started your business way before most of the buildings were here as well. So good for you.
I think about when I first started, I think about the office that you're in now.
Yeah.
I mean, that was never built. That was, in 2005 when I first launched my very first business. Just the whole downtown scene, it didn't exist. And it's so, fascinating, exciting. And the one thing that I think, though, has been consistent from when I first launched my business to the end is the energy that the UAE has, but in particular Dubai, that anything is possible. And I think one of the things that Creative Zone do really well is supporting you on that journey to creating that anything is possible and helping you along that way.
Amazing. I love
so I love the energy of the city, and I love that, anything is possible.
So obviously you've seen so many changes here.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a bit difficult, bit of a broad question, but can you give our viewers some of the lessons that you've learned?
Some of the lessons that I've learned from business. I think one of the things that people do is I think they wait too long to execute an idea. And I think that's something with having, your support in the sense of being able to do business setup. There's flexibility in that. And I think when you start a business idea, and you'll see this from when people come in and sign up with you, often what they start doing is not what they end up doing.
No,
but I think
not.
if you wait too long till you've got that perfect idea, then it can pass you by. And I think you've got to get in, be market ready, even if you're not, be ready to try it, and then adapt as you go. And I think when I first launched my business, what I thought it was going to be versus what it transpired in the first 12 months massively changed. And
that
I think,
quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So when I first launched my business, we were very much targeted towards hotels.
Okay.
It was a personal shopping and styling agency that I launched back in 2005. And I thought, well, tourists, this is the perfect solution for people that are visiting the UAE and in Dubai in particular. It was selling itself on the next big shopping destination. But the reality was, it was really hard to convince the concierges of this service, and who actually became my clientele were people that lived in Dubai. Okay. And I think being able to pivot in a business when you're small and have the ability to be able to do that is great. But often what you start doing is not what you end up doing. So I would say you've got to go with the idea and then edit it as you go would be kind of one of my big lessons. Yeah, one of my big lessons. Test and learn it. And I think even the same nowadays when it comes to creating content on social media, is rather than copying what other people are doing, do something that you think that works, test it a few times and go, how can I improve on that? Or what can work better? People, I think, either don't start or they give up way too early.
Yeah.
And then they don't have enough data to go, well, I can improve it by this and change it like this. So I would say that would be one of my first lessons. I think another lesson is, I'm trying to think that kind of on the general scale in terms of what I've learned. Work with experts. So I learned this kind of a little bit later in my journey because I didn't know what I was doing. And one example was someone had suggested to me, maybe you should get a coach, someone who's external, who could help you. So I think the second tip that I would say, or the second lesson that I've learned, is work with experts, because they can help you get to the answer that you're looking for quicker, or help with that test and learn experience. So whether that's a coach that you're going to work with, a business coach, someone who can help you with ads, or social media, or even working with someone to do your business setup or to do growth and whatever it is that you're choosing to do. Work with an expert will get you there faster. I genuinely believe you do not know all the answers yourself. So if you're quite happy to take 2, 3, 4, 10 times longer, do it yourself. I, on the other hand, I'm quite impatient and I want to see results quicker.
Exactly the same.
So I think getting an expert to help you, and that's why we do what we do now with the branding pieces. If you want to be more visible, we will take you from being hidden to being seen by helping you with all that branding in between, but doing it faster. Because we've learned from all the mistakes that I've made in the past as I've built my brand, but also what works for our clients and what hasn't worked for our clients. So I would say that would be number 2. And then I would say the third thing is I would take inspiration from other businesses. So what do I mean by that? Not copy other businesses, but I think there are so many things that can be learned through the infrastructure of what other business practices do or other ways that other people do. So super early on in my business, in personal styling, when I had that, I adopted what they did in personal training. So I could never understand why in personal training, you would hire a personal trainer for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Why would you not hire a personal stylist for 10 hours? It was very much, well, let me just do a one-off. No, you could look at bringing in a billing situation similar because they understand that concept and bring that into personal styling. And that changed my entire cash flow and growth business trajectory. So I would say look at what other businesses are doing and how can you adapt that into what you do in your business with your own take on it. And I think Dubai in particular, the UAE, has got so many different businesses and there's so much that you can learn. I mean, you'll have seen that in what you're doing. Is there any examples that you've had of what someone's done in one business and gone, oh, actually that works really well in that business?
I just think there's so many overlaps, right? Obviously, I meet people from every industry, from the most serious of serious, oil and gas, finance, to the creative people. So from my perspective, they always pivot. You know, I've got one client in particular. He's been my client for years. Every time I speak to him, he is setting up something totally different to the last. It will be a crypto company to a marketing agency to an alcohol trading company to, what was the latest one? Insurance company. You know, there's just so many different elements because he is amazing at pivoting and remaining flexible and making sure he can seize an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I love it, to be honest. I love when people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm doing something completely different. I'm like, that's amazing. I wasn't expecting that. Great. Happy to help. Let's get you the new license and then do whatever we need to do to make that happen.
Yeah, I think that's a great point on the pivoting. And some people, I think, in years gone by, have seen it that you're changing your mind. Whereas in actual fact, in order to be a growth leader, I think you really have to be pivoting to see the opportunities in what's happening. What was trending 2 years ago is not trending now. And even if it's not trends focused, it's what served people then is not serving people now in the same way. And I think if you want to stay ahead, you've always got to be leading and learning from others, but also pioneering that.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think certainly from I think when I started, it was one of the first pioneering in that. In 2019, when started personal branding, and 2020 changed all the trade license names. So that's very much one of the things that we went through that process was once I'd sold my styling businesses, then it was, how do I keep the same business, but change the name, the environment, everything that I'm doing and pivot into something else. And that's exactly what we did.
I mean, I just think the last 5 years in general have taught the whole of humanity to kind of be on edge, but not necessarily in a bad way, but just be ready.
Agile.
Sorry?
Yeah, agile.
Yeah, definitely. Just be ready that things could change very drastically. So whenever you get an opportunity, just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that point, you've obviously seen many, many, many changes and you've always had to try and maintain your brand, no matter what it is that you're actually offering at that point and whatever way you're pivoting. So I guess my question for you is more, how have you remained a business that stands out? And how would you advise other people to become and maintain that kind of position, I guess?
And that's a great question, because I look back at when I really understood, I guess what we know now is personal branding. I didn't know at the time, but the recession. You know, when there's crisis and challenges, what stands out, I believe, is the people.
Yeah.
Versus the business. The business name, it can come and go, what it is that you do, but you as a person stand out.
Yeah.
And I think that piece, through all the challenges of business growth, staying relevant, pivoting, you know, from going from being the person in the phone as Kelly the stylist to Kelly the branding person now, you know, that takes time to do. But you've also got to educate. And I think what people don't understand is there's an educational time where you need to educate your network. So that could be your friends, your family, your community that you do business with, your business partners that you work with. All of those need to be aware as to where are you moving next and how do you do that. But what remains the same is who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether I was offering styling advice, but we work together now doing branding, the team still know Kelly is this kind of person. And I think ultimately that comes down to, how do you make people feel in an interaction?
100%.
How memorable are you? Because even in this environment here, people know you.
Yeah.
And I think that will always stay with you. And there's that saying, you know, be careful on how you treat people on the way up, because is it you meet them on the way down or something like that? I don't know
what the saying is,
something
but I know
along
what you
those
mean,
lines.
yeah.
And I think here especially, you could be in a massive growth stage and then things could change and you change, but you need to come back to who that audience is that helped you, educate on what it is that you're doing now. So I think, how do you stand out is obviously being consistent on your values as to who you are. They may evolve slightly, but I would still say the people that met me when I first signed up, I don't know how different they would find me as Kelly the person. Sure, I'm offering something different. So I think that is a crucial piece in how you stand out, and keep educating people. And it goes back to that, stop waiting. Like, what are you waiting to educate people about? That brand you already have. So start engaging with people the way that you want to be remembered.
Everyone remembers everyone here. Like, most of my clients have come from referrals. And I have people that I met when I first started Creative Zone, where I didn't really know as much as I know now. I wasn't as advanced in my knowledge. And even people from 4 years ago will message me and say, are you still working at Creative Zone? And then I'll look back at who it was and I'll just think, oh my God, how do you even remember me?
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I may not have even helped them with anything at that point, but it was, we built enough of a relationship and they took to me enough to remember who I am, which is crazy. But that is so important here, I think, more so than anywhere.
I think as much as having an offline profile and communication and being memorable, I think nowadays is the ability to be able to compound interest that with online. So LinkedIn, for example, and I know that you've built quite a following on Creative Zone's LinkedIn page. What are you at now?
So we are currently at 160,000 plus, I believe. So
that, and it's
the marketing team's been busy.
That's weird, and there's a community in there as well. But by being able to communicate your personal brand and who you are in person, but that extra visibility online, I think is huge. And using that as a way to do it, I think it's brilliant.
A question that I get asked by a lot of my clients, and I'm not really in the position to answer, and I'd like to push over to you because I know you very much are. So I get asked a lot the challenges that they should expect to face here and how they can handle those. And I think you're a really good person to answer this for them.
What are some of the challenges? I think one of the challenges that people face is they see Dubai in particular as this big glitzy city, and they're going to make lots of money. And I think whilst that is very...
Yellow brick road.
Whilst that very much is a possibility and will happen, I think they also greatly underestimate the population that we have here. And I think there is a bit of a misconception that whilst, I go to the UAE or go to Dubai and make money, I do think that then the follow through and just thinking about the Dubai population is actually really small. So are you coming to the UAE to base yourself here and you've still got an international database, or are you coming to the UAE and wanting them to buy your products and service? And then if that's the answer, I think it's a lot smaller than you think it is, and it might take a little bit longer. So that was kind of one of the things. I think the expectations of, as you call it, the yellow brick road is a challenge. I think one of the things that is now no longer a challenge, and I'm delighted with, is that business setup, but even the Emirates ID, like all of the whole setup phase, having done it twice, once for myself 20 years ago, and then my business, or the business 20 years ago, and myself 23 years ago when I first moved here. But having done it a couple of years ago when my husband moved here, I had given him all this information that it's going to take a long time. It's going to be lots of hassle, the bank accounts.
Was he pleasantly surprised?
So pleasantly. He said, you really prepared me for this being a really big challenge. And it absolutely wasn't. So I think from a personal perspective, doing all the ID, or whether it's your golden visa or whatever it is you're setting up, to even the business setup, that now is so seamless. I mean, how quickly can you set up a business now?
I mean, 24 hours, depending on what it is.
Wow. Like that, I mean, that in my day, now I sound really old, it just didn't happen when I first started, 20 years ago. But nowadays, I think that's a bit of a misconception where people, like myself, thought it would take a long time, and it actually doesn't. I think other challenges, I mean, it depends on your industry. It depends where you are. I'm trying to think of maybe certainly the type of clientele that I meet is, where are your clients? I think people focus on, I'm just online, but maybe you could meet them in person. I think networking and community is huge. And I think it's one of the things that we've done really well together is host events and bring people together. And I've seen the energy and the buzz from the likes of She Talks events, or even just the initiatives that you've done where you've supported new business startups. Those are the kind of things that weren't here. And I think you need to look out for those, not just online, offline, and have that healthy mix, I think, when you're starting.
I absolutely love our events, to be honest. I think they are so beautiful. The people that are brought together is just incredible. And you were amazing at She Talks.
I really enjoyed it because it was that nice connection from time of day. It was a lunchtime thing, bringing in different people. So there was different energies there, learning things. So it just ticked so many boxes rather than being just traditional, hi, how are you? I'm a Kelly. It's a
bit more fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's something that I've really enjoyed doing and building on with clients.
We're going to get some more things in the pipeline anyway.
I love it. What have you got
just
coming
limited
up?
to women. So we are doing one in London.
Yeah.
That is on Friday, so I'll be flying in a couple of days. We've got some potential international ones coming up, but I don't want to jinx them until they're done. We do startup Mondays every quarter. So that, I think you came to the last one, right?
I haven't been to, but I think it's coming. Yeah.
Okay, yes, we've got one coming up. You're coming to that. So startup Mondays are really, really nice. So we get all new entrepreneurs, whether they've started or they've just they're going to start, they've got a plan. So we get everyone in one room, brief presentations, but it's just a lot of networking, a few drinks. This one's an evening one. It's a bit more fun.
How have you seen people network in the best way? Like, what's been a memorable networking opportunity that you've seen?
I always find, for me personally, I enjoy networking in social settings because I think everyone's guard is down. Everyone's just being themselves, having a couple of drinks or not, having some food, just fully relaxed, and the conversation flows naturally. So for me, whenever we arrange any events, I always want to make it as comfortable as possible and not too formal, because I think the formal ones, everyone gets a little bit bored, in my opinion, and you don't really get that guard down where the conversation naturally flows into how that person can actually help you. And over here, we're brilliant at this. The UAE in general, you want a restaurant recommendation, you want anything, there's always someone that is more than willing to help you. This is one of the things I love about this place. And since I moved here, one of the things that have stayed with me.
It's certainly been, I've seen with clients that have moved here as well. They've said, but it's not like this in London, or it's not like this here. Like everyone will help you or meet with you. And then there's very much this pay it forward attitude. You move to the Middle East or you move to Dubai, then we will help you. And I think that is because everybody has been new at some point in the past as well.
That's what I say to everyone. Everyone's been in the same position as you. Whenever I've got clients that have just got here and they're feeling a bit overwhelmed, you know, where should we live? Where should we send our kids to school? What should we do? You know, it's a lot, especially when you don't have your family and friends here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is one of the things that we have completely got right here. Everyone wants to help everyone.
Yeah.
And London is definitely not like that. Right, so most people know who you are anyway. And
Fingers crossed.
if they're in the UAE, they definitely do. You're everywhere.
Hopefully.
So your business is very much about branding.
Yeah.
So I guess from my perspective, I just want to know, when you speak to your clients, they're obviously all very different.
Yeah.
What's the kind of key ideas and advice that you would give to your clients when it comes to branding? I know everyone's different and it's going to be very different for each and every person.
Yeah.
But I guess more based on your experience and what you're currently doing.
I think the first thing has got to be personal.
Yeah.
So when we say personal branding, people have got to get to know you a little bit, to know, like, and trust you. And how do you do that when it comes to personal branding? Not business branding.
Yeah.
And that personal piece is very much where have you got that opportunity to tell stories. So you can do that on Reels, you can do that on YouTube, you can do that on LinkedIn. So there's storytelling using those options. But then looking at other collaborators where you could use their platforms to tell stories, to share value. So podcasting is a great example, what we're doing here, exchanging audiences, but also sharing knowledge of things that you've learned and that I've learned to add value to someone else. I've been on
real people.
Yeah, exactly. Been there and I've done that. I was on your podcast a couple of years ago, Game Changers, and it was a brilliant opportunity to speak to Lorenzo about business growth and things that I've learned over the years, and then vice versa, how you can repurpose that content and it goes elsewhere. Speaking opportunities, you know, so often these things don't always come to you in the beginning. You've got to put yourself out there. So I think it's as much about going, how can I be proactive rather than reactive with my personal brand strategy? And that's where it starts. And then looking at all the aspects around that. Maybe some people go, do you know what? I'm not ready for speaking on stage. That's okay. But could you start?
That was actually going to be my follow-up question.
Was
what
it?
about the people that don't want to be out there?
Well, I think there's a very different way in terms of I don't want to be out there. I would question why. Because is it the majority of the time is they feel embarrassed or they cringe. That's why they don't want to be out there. But the answer to that is they don't know how to put themselves out there. Because what's happening right now is that there are people less qualified that are getting the opportunities because they're more visible. Does that make it them right or wrong? No, because they're putting themselves out there. They're putting themselves out there. So now people are being overlooked that are potentially better for a role or an opportunity or whatever it is because they are being proactive.
Honestly, this was my issue. I don't know if the marketing team are here, but 2 years ago, I refused. I think just over 2 years ago, I refused to be in front of a camera. I wouldn't let them take pictures. I wouldn't do any videos. And now I'm basically the face of Creative Zone. Sorry, Lorenzo.
But did you find, it's about getting practice, but did you see after that more opportunities?
Yeah, of course. Do you know what was really strange for me? Not necessarily here, but when I went to London, I had about 3 or 4 people come up to me and say, I watched your YouTube video. I was like, what? You're in London. What do you mean? And then they had loads of questions and I've had referrals from those people as well. So yeah, the knock-on effect is definitely worth it, but it's just that initial fear, I get it. It's difficult.
And so I think the question that we should be asking when it comes to personal branding is, why do you want a personal brand? Because then that will lead you to make different decisions, build on your skills or expertise if you know that there's somewhere that's, or maybe you go, do you know what? I don't need a personal brand because it doesn't, it doesn't work for me. And when I say personal brand, I have to clarify that everyone has a brand.
Yeah.
And I know people go, well, I don't want to put myself out there, but you still have a brand, because we've got to go back to what is a personal brand.
Yeah.
A personal brand is how you make people feel. And you're doing that every single day when you walk into the office, when you drop your kids off at the school gates. You have a brand. Are you the memorable mum for the right things? Are you the memorable mum for other things?
Yeah.
And that is ultimately the bottom line of what a personal brand is. But it's how are you putting yourself out in a visibility way that's going to either enhance your career or enhance your life.
Yeah.
And I very much look at how I've built my personal brand is, yes, it's for visibility to get new clients, to help them on their journey, but also the visibility in my personal brand has created amazing things. I've had luxury holidays that I've been able to share with my followers. I had my dream wedding in the Seychelles because I had a following of people who were interested in looking at it. They're things that I want in my life, nothing to do with my business. So I think your personal brand is that vehicle to you creating the life that you want. You want more money in your job? Do you want promotion? Get working on the skills that you need to have to get that job. So I think it all kind of comes back to that. And one of the products, and I say products, but one of the areas that I'm excited that I've created a product around now is helping teenagers. So 16, 17, 18-year-olds, getting them to understand that they have a personal brand. So I have a nephew that's 16 years old, and he's not quite got his head around that he needs a part-time job. How are you going to get a part-time job? Because of your personal brand. Why is someone going to take you on? Because of the skills that you've done at school. Have you put yourself forward for a school captaincy role in sport? Have you spoken at I'm making this up now because it was a long time since I was at school, but I don't know,
an assembly or something.
All of these kinds of things where there's the opportunity to put yourself forward. That is part of your brand and the skills that you're going to start to lead as you go into it. So we all have one. It's just how visible do we want to be, and do we need it?
With all the changes in the world, we've seen a lot more people kind of moving to the UAE.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a lot of them have come to you for some help.
I'd like to say a lot of them, but I see it a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people posting, the UK versus the UAE, what's better.
Not just the UK, but the UK at the moment
is
having its own issues.
Absolutely. But I think certainly I've seen that a lot on sort of social media posts, why and the comparisons.
Yeah.
But I think beyond that, what are the opportunities that the UAE offers you that maybe aren't elsewhere? And I think from a perspective that I mentioned earlier, this contagious anything is possible. I think that there's a level of positivity, and back to the communication of everyone's willing to support you. I think that in itself is a foundation to move to a place where people are positive about supporting you and want to help you, already start you off on a great stead. But I think beyond that, there are so many things that aren't here. So I think that there's opportunities to grow and scale, but to base yourself here and have an international business. I know that's one of the things from Creative Zone as a base here, that you help business owners that have got businesses all over the world, and they may be based here, but their clients are everywhere. But the ease of, I don't know, what are some of the easy things that you find that your clients have?
I mean, I think geographically we're in such a great location for most
travel
time zones.
if they've got to visit
time
different
zones,
places.
getting around, all of those things. We're pretty central, which is a huge bonus to most of my clients. I mean, name the obvious is the tax benefits. When you come from Europe, anywhere in Europe, to be honest, not just the UK. There's a big difference. Let's just put it that way. So those are two key reasons. But I think when they've already got a business elsewhere, it's very easy to transition, just in general. You know, whether they're switching over or just expanding to move some of the business, it works really, really well. Like banking is a lot easier now. You touched on it earlier when you spoke about your husband's process. Banking is not what it used to be.
Oh, and now you can do it on the phone, on an app. You don't even need to go anywhere.
So much easier.
Oh, that for me has been such a aha moment over the last, I'd probably say only the last 18 months, 2 years, that has really changed. Because
that's when the digital bank started kind of taking over a little bit,
Yes,
I think.
I would say certainly pre that.
Yeah.
If you were to say what were the challenges, I would
Banking
just
was
say,
up there.
oh yeah, like number
everyone.
one,
Yeah.
number one, standing
Yeah.
in the queue, and the fact that my husband came from a banking background, and he would be fascinated, and he's like, "You're still operating on checks?" Yep, I still have to go and queue to put the check in, and he's like, "Are you for real?" I was like,
the check situation blew my mind when I moved here. I was like, I haven't even seen one of these since I opened my bank account when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Very strange.
So true. But I think also the ability to combine this, whether you call it balance, but a little bit of this, environment of, I think, keeping fit and wellness.
Yeah.
From
It's a big thing here for sure.
walks on the beach, the difference to walking to the gym when it's 30 degrees versus walking to the gym in Edinburgh when it's -6. Let me tell you, on those days, you really don't want to do it. So I think from that perspective, you can, that comes with the energy as well, and the environment of, okay, leading a slightly healthier life or being in a healthier environment. For me, that works. Maybe not for everyone, but for me, it massively does.
No, for sure. I think there's so many different benefits, right? It's not just business related. A lot of people that move here, it's for their families. It's for their own well-being. And I don't think there is a place that matches the UAE, to be honest. I really don't. As biased as I am, I just don't think there is. Because everyone's got a very similar mindset. Like we've touched on that as well. But there is no sit back and wait for things to happen for you here. You either get up and you do it, or it's not happening. And that's it.
And then the icing on the cake, safety.
Oh yeah, especially as women, God.
Having that comfort and knowledge and the fact that it feels safe is huge.
I get scared when I go back to London now. It is the most bizarre thing. I get back and I'm like, should I take my jewelry off? Should I, I wouldn't dare hold my phone on the street in my hand. And that is heartbreaking for me because it's somewhere I grew up and it is such a big draw to this place.
Yeah.
Like we can go out 3-4 in the morning if we wanted and just walk down the street and nothing will happen.
I do at 5 a.m, but it's not on my way. It's not on a night out. It's going to the gym.
I mean, that's fine.
And I do see the people that were once me coming home from a night out at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning.
I remember the last time I got home at that time. I think it's like after you pass the 30s, it all kind of slows down and stops. Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, there is definitely that comfort, knowledge, and safety.
For sure. As great as the UAE is, I think there's still some misconceptions around women and how much we are allowed to do here and how successful we can be.
Yeah.
You obviously work with a lot of these women.
Yeah.
So I guess more so for the audience, what do you think the actual challenges are for women in business in the UAE?
Do you know, it's a really good question. So I would go as far as saying at the moment, probably 90% of my clientele are women. And it's really interesting. Yeah, because even the men that I have conversations with, when something comes up in their life, in their world, they drop the personal brand. Whereas what I find with the women that I'm working with, they're building their personal brand, they've got their business, they've got the home, they've got the children, and the majority of my clients are parents. So there is this...
They're balancing everything.
There is a lot that I can see that they're bringing in, but it's nearly in the sense of, and this is very much a generalization, but my female clients are taking it all on and going, how can I bring this in? And I nearly think they're embracing branding much more than male clientele. And I don't know, I could speculate as to why I think that is. Is it because I think that they lack more confidence? And that's maybe a bit of a generalization, but I do think there is an element where they're lacking confidence to imposter syndrome to put themselves out there, and they feel that if they've got a really clear strategy on how they do that, that's going to fast track them back to getting experts to get them the results in the at the end of the day. So I would say that there's definitely an investment in that space that women are prepared to pay and do to get the results that they want. But the results that my clients are getting is insane. So whether it's speaking opportunities, paid speaking events, whether it's tripling their business, whether it's getting promotion, all of that is happening because they are upskilling themselves and building their confidence. And I think from that, there is just so much opportunity that women can pretty much do anything.
So no challenges then, guys. Sorry.
No, I really wouldn't. I
Yeah.
really wouldn't. And I would say that, you know, again, from when I first started business 20 years ago, the challenges.
Why don't you touch on that? Did you have a lot of challenges as a woman 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was much harder
Yeah.
then because it was much rarer.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember going to the bank and
You're a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed
23-year-old.
Yeah.
And I remember one example of going to the bank and I took a male friend with me and I just said, would you mind keeping me company? I've got to drive all the way to this place called Jebel Ali. Like, just to put that into perspective, was really
This place
far.
called Jebel Ali.
Yeah, it's really far away 23 years ago when you think about it. And he came with me and the bank manager only spoke to him. And my friend kept saying, no, but she's
It's her
starting a
business,
business.
yeah.
And we'd go, yes. And then he would
Go straight back to him.
to him. So there was little things like that. I feel that there was lesser opportunity to network as well. We didn't have social media, so there was less visibility. So you had to be memorable in person. But I think now, and certainly coming on board with Creative Zone and having the opportunities where you've brought networking communities, or these have developed like Female Fusion or Crunch Moms or that Dubai girl, like there's so many now that it just makes that opportunity so much more visible for women.
I'd actually argue to say that we get treated better in a lot of situations now.
Yeah, well, I think certainly queuing at RTA and
Come over here. It's
yes,
fine.
the women's only section, aspects like that. But I definitely think in the beginning there was definitely more challenges than now. So I would say that there isn't the same excuses that there was those years ago. Now you can go and do anything. Really, you can.
You have spoken about all the women that you've helped, the teenagers, branding advice. I guess from me, I'd just like to know, what would your one piece of key advice be for them?
In branding or in business, or shall I give one of each?
However you want. Not necessarily advice, just one thing you would like them to keep in mind.
I always think that the future version of you will thank when you start today. And too many people put off getting clear on what their values are or their personal brand strategy or actually starting the business.
Yeah.
I was so desperate to start my styling business 20 years ago that if I had just waited 6 more months, I would have got my 3-year bonus, which would have helped me pay for my business. But I was so keen on making sure that I started my business that I was like, I just want to do it now. And there was that level of impatientness of going, just do it because things will change. And I think stop putting off what your future self would like to thank you that you started today.
Yeah.
What would your advice be then, having met lots of business startups? What would you say to them right now if they're watching?
I think very similar to you, first of all, I would definitely piggyback off that advice because that is probably the biggest thing that stops people. Like your experience, I think it's a perfect example. Things will change and you might think it's going to be this and it might be that. And you don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, you 20 years ago and you right now, very different people. You probably 5 years ago, very different. Yeah. The business has probably changed so much. And I think that is so important when you're running a business, especially somewhere else, somewhere new, because most people are expats here. Yeah. So realistically, if you're here, you're going to be from somewhere else 99% of the time. And yeah, I just think remain flexible, be ready for the changes and embrace it more than anything, because that could be the difference between you being a huge success or just starting something for the sake of it.
Anything is possible. Yes. That's the mantra.
Definitely, for sure. Well, thank you so much. It has been such a lovely conversation with you today. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'll have you at our next event anyway, speaking and doing what you do best.
Love it. Here's to the next 15 years. Where will we be? What will we be doing it? Or maybe it'll be virtual reality. Who knows?
I mean, I don't like the sound of that. That gives me anxiety now. Straight to the Matrix.
Love it.